Hi, happy Friday, English 110. I thought I'd check in with you real quick before the weekend starts and make sure that you're having an okay time with the module this week. And I've gotten some really good questions about the research exercises, so I wanted to clarify that a little bit. So first of all, I hope you're spending this week getting a little bit caught up in the class. And as you know, if you've looked at the assignments from Monday up until today, we don't have a new reading response. So if you've fallen a little bit behind in the reading from Craft of Research or MindTap, this is your chance to catch up on that. And just to clarify reading for you a little bit, is that what's important to me is that you're using the reading to learn about both the processes of writing and research. And when you're giving me reading responses, you're showing me that you've incorporated some of the material into your learning. I think a lot of the reading is pretty self-explanatory, as you can tell. I just, as a way of just to make sure you're using those resources, those two textbooks as we move along, the reading responses show me that you are and that you're keeping up. And the way I'm grading the reading responses is a lot about using it as a formal piece of writing. So it's really important, and I've said this to many of you in my feedback to you, is that you're editing for grammar mechanics. And that is things like end punctuation, use of commas, capitalizing the first letter of the first word in the sentence, things that maybe when you're not doing formal writing you're not thinking about. But these are really the opportunities, not just busy work for me to make sure you did the reading, it's also your opportunity to practice your writing. And I want you practicing that in small doses all the time, because the more you practice it, the better you get at it, and that's really just true. So some suggestions I make before you post to the discussion board is maybe take your discussion board post and put it right into a Word document. And when you see red lines or the blue lines, that indicates grammar or spelling issues with the post. You really should get in the habit of making sure every piece of writing you put out there is grammatically correct. So you'll see me commenting about that. The other thing is we're beginning to really, once we've done with our research process, we're going to start putting our research into our writing process. You know, the reading responses when I'm asking you to cite from the book starts to help you do that, which means you found something really interesting in your reading, you're putting that into your explanation of your understanding of the reading, you're learning how to cite it, and then you're tying that piece into your overall response in your own words. And the more you do that, the easier that's going to be to do in essays. So I do want you trying to choose pieces of the textbooks that you find interesting, quote them, and then put them into your own words to explain them. All right, so I just wanted to say that about the reading responses, and if you've fallen behind, this is a good chance to get caught back up on those. You will always have to do the reading response and then post something to the discussion board to show me that you've read it. Okay, the research exercises are the other big piece that's happened in the last 2 weeks. And if you've been through one of them, either the internet one or you're working on the new one with the databases, you'll see that my questions are both about process and product. So you might feel like, oh my gosh, she's asking me so many questions, I just want to give her the information that I got. Well, I really want you to begin to understand how to evaluate sources. And so you'll see with the internet research exercise, I ask you all sorts of questions about the website you got your information from. And then, of course, it's always good to know what information you did receive, but some of those questions are just so that you can begin to understand the process of evaluating your sources. And you'll see when I put you on the databases, the first two databases we use are CQ Researcher and Credo Reference. And some of my questions are just asking you to get familiar with using those sources. And then to actually find an article on each, read through it, begin to understand what it's like to read through some of the articles that will be available to you on the databases. And you'll see that they read much differently, and I want you to notice that as we move along. Okay? So even though you feel like might be asking a lot of questions about your research process, it's so that you begin to understand these different sources that we're going to and how to use them and how to navigate them. So by the end of this weekend, really, you should have done 3 reading responses from the book. You'll have another one next week, but don't worry about one for this week. So 3 reading responses. You've given me 2 writing exercises. You did a brainstorm on your topic, and you also did that first writing sample. And now you've completed 2 research exercises about your topic. And I've had students say, you know what, I've started researching and I really don't want to do this topic. I give you kind of like that 4 or 5 week grace period where we're just beginning to explore some ideas for you to change your topic. But once we start writing Essay 1, it's going to be important for you to stay with your topic. And so next week is going to be dedicated to using the research that you found out and writing Essay 1, which Essay 1 is just if you had to stand up in front of the class and tell us briefly about your topic, that's what you're doing in Essay 1. So if your topic is concussions in sports, we as an audience assume we don't know anything about that or very little, and you're going to give us the background information. And again, remember, this is the introduction to your research, your huge research essay, right? It's the first part. And I don't want you thinking too far down the line, but it's supposed to give the background information about your topic so that when we get into the 2 sides and the consequences and all of those other things, we have our basic information. And it should answer the question, here's what you need to know about concussions in sports in order to understand the conflict. Okay, so we should all be getting closer to what people are arguing about with concussions in sports is, what is it? Is it that some people think they're more severe than others? That we are protecting our athletes just fine or we're not? Okay, so your conflict should always boil down to either this or this. And I don't want you to overcomplicate that too much. So when we move into next week, I will be asking you to begin the composition process, which we'll talk about. But for now, I just want you getting as much information as you can from those 3 different sources, the internet, Credo Reference, and CQ Researcher, and we're going to use that information to write your first paper. All right, I will be spending the weekend giving you more feedback in the Grade Center. Please let me know if I'm not giving you enough feedback. I will absolutely clarify grades with you, or if you don't understand an assignment. I've actually had 3 of my online students come in this week and stop in my office hours, which was great, because what ends up happening is I can show you something real quick that would have taken a really long time to explain in an email. So I continue to encourage you to actually come see me on campus. This is my office, this is what it looks like, and you are welcome at any point or set up an appointment with me, and we can, if office hours don't work for you, we can chat at a different time. Okay, so good luck this weekend, stay warm, it's going to be really chilly. And remember, with an online class, I want to continue to tell you this. Sometimes sitting down and doing the work is half the battle, right? It's that we're like, oh, I'll get to that. I'll get to the online class. I really will. And the more we say we'll get to it, the less we get to it, right? Because we don't physically have to be here to do the work. But I encourage you to get in the habit of maybe the same time every week you sit down and work on this class. This is a really good window for you if you've fallen a little bit behind to catch up before we start moving into the actual writing of the essay. Okay, so have a great weekend, work hard, and let me know if you need anything. Okay.